Audio test. Audio test. This is Dan Sagmiller, just letting you know we'll be starting in just a moment.
Check 2, check, check.
Audio test. David, can you say something, Jim?
Audio test.
All right, you're on there. Okay. Cool.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, I have one other thing I need to do. Not quite ready to start yet. Need about 1 more minute.
Say something. 1, 2, 3. X, Y, Z. Easy as 1, 2, 3. Right, do, re, mi, A, B, C. 1, 2, 3, baby, you and me.
Should be. I cannot hear him. You can't hear him?
Mm-mm. I heard stuff that says I got one more, but nothing from.
Checkity, check, check, check. Blah, blah, blah. Pancho was a bandit, boys. His horse is fast as polished steel. He wore his gun outside his coat for all the honest world to feel.
I don't even hear your serenade.
Man, you don't know what you're missing.
Yeah, no kidding.
Is there a red light on yours?
Oh, let me check. There's a green light on mine.
Okay. Okay.
Pancho met his match, you know, in a desert down in Mexico.
There it is.
No one heard his dying
I hope this is
words.
the right one.
Oh, somebody's singing.
That's the way it goes.
Of course, that doesn't show up over there.
Vroom, vroom.
Okay. All right, so yeah, let's make sure that the mics are working. Okay,
Yeah, that's you. You're on.
Check, check.
yeah, I can.
Can you hear me now? Tommy, can you hear me? Can you see me near you? Tommy, can you feel me?
What color is this?
Red?
All right.
Red? Can I help?
Okay.
It's a blue dress.
All right, finally, we're getting started.
I think I got you. I think I got you.
All right, you'll have to forgive me on this. This is our first time getting set up with all the streaming and live setup, so naturally we had some hiccups. Today we're going to be having David Giard present to us. He's a Microsoft tech evangelist. He goes around all over the place giving presentations, talking about stuff, and I am being blinded. He recently gave a really good talk over at that conference in Wisconsin. And also, I just wanted to give a couple updates before we actually get started. One is we're going to have a wireless mouse, gaming mouse, as one of the prizes. The second prize is going to be an actual personal development license for Construct 2, which we're going through today. That's valued at $130, which will unlock all the features of Construct 2. Otherwise, you can still develop it for free. In addition to that, for anyone who is involved in the SDC.Game arcade, that is posted on GitHub now, and we have a forum discussion going on inside of the meetup groups. So if you check that out, you can get involved in the arcade development that we're working on. All right, so without anything else, here's David.
Thanks, Dan. My name is David Giard. I am a technical evangelist for Microsoft. As it says on the slide there's my contact information. You can follow me on Twitter. You can read my blog. I don't have very many slides. I'll just show them to you right now. We're going to talk about a tool called Construct 2, which is a gaming engine. And as Dan mentioned, there's a free version and there's a paid version. And I'll say up front that everything I'm going to demo today, I'll do with the free version. So you can do all that stuff in the free version. I think the paid version is gives you some more reusable code components that you want to share, make things more modular and share them across projects, and also gives you more ways to export to different platforms. I think those are the big advantages of the free ones. I built a bunch of games with these. If you go to this website here, spinachtop.azurewebsites.net, then you can download them. They'll run on I've exported them to Windows, so they run on Windows 8, 8.1 or 10. They actually will run on phones as well, but they're not really designed for phones, but they'll still work. We're going to do we're going to build one of those games. I'm going to recreate one of the games that I've created that's in the store. It's a free game. If you want to get started and follow along, first place you need to go is to skira.com. And if you want to build the same game that I'm doing, I've created some art assets that I just created in paint.net myself, and they're available at this OneDrive location. I should verify that that link still works because I created that a long time ago. And does it? Is it? OneDrive is there. And is there a game assets right here? I think is what you want. Oh, yeah, it's right here. Actually, it's just started. You don't do it. Just click that link. It'll actually download a zip file with all the art in it. All right. Let's see some resources here. If you wanted to build your own game and you can create your own art for it, that's fine. But if you want to use somebody else's art, just be aware of if you're going to put this in the store, in one of the stores, either the Apple Store, the Google Store, the Microsoft Store, you should probably make sure that it's that you have the rights to do that. And I put some resources here to find some free art and some free music that you can download. A couple of websites. These are generally have a Creative Commons license. You can read them. Sometimes they say that you can use them as long as you don't make money. Some of them say you can use them as long as you give credit. Some of them have like a freemium version. And then in the middle, I mentioned Bing image search. Bing actually has a filter in its image that allows you to say, show me just the Creative Commons or free to share and use. It's a really nice search as well. All right, that's my slides. This is just my contact information again. The rest of this talk is all demos, and I'm going to sit down for that. I'm glad there's people at home listening. I hope you're enjoying this. I noticed that I'll just let you know that I'm in a room here in Naperville, Illinois, and I'm not kidding, there must be like 1,000 people in this room. I don't know how you fit them all in here. I don't know how you got sandwiches for all of them, too. And I see a lot of young people here, too. That is awesome. I'd love to see young people getting involved in software development of any kind, but games are a great place to start. All right, well, first thing I want to show you is Skira.com. So Skira is a company. It's based in the United Kingdom. And so you look at their pricing, it's usually in pounds right there. Oh, they've actually changed it. So it used to be 200 pounds. It's $129. Most know that I'm in the U.S. here. And you can buy this thing if you want to. But you don't have to buy it. You can go right here and just download the free version. And that's what I've done. I've clicked on download the free version. Every time I open it up, it seems about every 2 weeks they'll have an update, and so I'll restart it. The free version will let you do lots and lots of stuff. The other thing I want to point out on here is this tutorials. They've got a lot of tutorials on this site. This is really an impressive site, given that it's just two brothers in the UK that created it. But if I go to tutorials, you'll see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tutorials on this page, and there's 115 pages of tutorials. There's just tons and tons of them. If you want to learn how to do something, just look through there and walk through them. That's how I learned Construct too. As I started playing around with these, and then I created similar games with my own characters. And speaking of characters, I've created what I think is the greatest video game character of all time. This is Spinach Top. He's our hero in these games. I'm going to really quickly show you this. If you go to this spinachtop.azurewebsites.net, these are all free. You can just click a link and download these games yourself. They run on anything Windows 8 and above. And I have, let's see, let me show you a quick demo here. Spinach Top drives fast. There's a racing game here. Add my own little animation in here to look like, what's the Tom Cruise movie about racing? I forget. What was it again? Do you remember? This is a forgettable movie. Days of Thunder, that was it. So this is, looks like the movie poster. Just click on here. I got rules of the game right there. Go back to here, new game. And I just use the arrow keys to navigate around a track like that. Whee! Etc. That's driving. I have Spinach Top in, Spinach Top in space. Let's do that one. It's kind of like asteroids. And if I start a new game here, you see a little space. I got some music on this one here. And I can navigate either by my arrow keys or by pressing these arrows on here. If an asteroid hits me, boom, I blow up. But I have other lives too. I can move around, click the mouse to fire. hit these asteroids, they blow up, and there's some spaceships that come. I'll look for a spaceship to come in. There he is. Boom, he could hit me or I could hit him as he celebrates. There we go. Boom. That's good. I get points for the asteroids. And I get points for the spaceships. What else do I have? I have Whack-A-Spinach Top. Might take on the Whack-A-Mole game. Let's do this right here. On this one here, I just got to touch. Boing. Every time I touch, his head explodes. And you just got to touch as many as you can before the time runs out. And I missed that one. There we go. So that's the idea. Let's Whack-A-Spinach Top. What else do I have? Spinach Top, drives fast. Climbs the sky. This is a platform game. I can jump. And jump from platform to platform. Ah! I missed that platform. Come on, come on, come on. And the idea is to get all the way to the top of the sky. I'm only 2%, 3% of the way up there now. But eventually I want to get all the way up to the top and touch the sun, and then I win. You can see there's a little bit of animation in here as well. That I'm just having fun. Let's get back to this. I think that was all of them. We'll go back here. I did that one, I did that one, I did that one. Drives fast. Except for, the Battles Monsters. This is the one I'm going to do. I'm going to show for you. Spinach Top Battles Monsters. Here we go. And this is the game I'm going to build right here. It is, I have a little bit of Creative Commons art in here, so I give credit for it there. Here's the rules of the game right here. And here I'm actually going to do so. But most of this art I actually did myself. This dragon I borrowed from one of these online sites with Creative Commons license. Same thing with this flying tongue monster. But like Spinach Top, I created myself just in paint. And the idea is I can move around with these arrow keys. I can aim with my mouse. I can fire these bullets from my gun. And I have to shoot these monsters 3 times before they die. Or no, I guess 5 times before they die. There we go. And they die, their head explodes. And then I have these dragons. If a monster touches me, I will die. And these dragons will come. The dragons actually shoot. Let me see if I can get up to the dragon. They shoot fireballs. If the fireball touches me, then I'll die. And I got to shoot the dragon 10 times before he dies. Oops. And then I died. I get eaten by the monsters. Let me see if I can get hit by one of these things here. Hit by a fireball. Go ahead, hit me. Ah. And then I have one more thing here, the power up in here. So I have to shoot the monster 10 times before I die, or before he dies, and I have to shoot the tongue monsters, I think 5 times or 3 times before they die. But there's a power up which will appear every minute or so, and if I swallow the power up, I heard it. I gotta go get to the power up. There he is over there, but I can't get to it. I'll just tell you, if I get to that power up, my gun becomes twice as powerful. I only have to shoot the dragons 5 times before they die. All right, that's the game. When I got 5 lives, the game's over. All right, so let's. I want to build that game. Let's do it. So the way I do it is I've already downloaded and installed Construct, and I've launched it. It's right here. And here's the blank screen I get. I don't even have to do file new. It just automatically comes up with a brand new game here. And I could save that. Why don't I do that? I gotta create something first. Oh, no, actually I do through file. I'm sorry. File, new game, and then it gives me templates. And on here, this is another place where you can learn about the game, because some of these templates are really complete. You could, for example, I'll just grab one here. Vertical Space. I have no idea what this is. It looks like it's a phone game. So I'll open it up, and if I run it, it probably has some features to it that I can add to it. Look at that. So come here, and then I'm not sure how I control this. I guess my mouse controls it. Or maybe my touch also would control it. So you can use it on the phone and just move around. And you have to shoot these things a bunch of times before they actually get destroyed. So you can imagine taking this game and modifying it, maybe just replacing those triangles with animated monsters or something like that. So these are really actually pretty nice templates that are available to you, either as a starting point or as a learning point. Now for mine, let me close this one. You can actually open multiple projects at the same time, but I like to have only one open at the same time. It gets confusing otherwise. So I'll do file new. I'm going to do the empty project right here. And I'll open it. Here I have an empty project. And you notice I have a design surface here, you've done any programming in things like Visual Studio or Eclipse or Atom or things like that, this kind of looks familiar. But I have a design surface here. I have a property sheet over here, and depending on what I've selected just this background layer here, then I'll show the properties of that layer. Over here, I have anything I've added to the project will appear in here. And then I have a concept of layers. I've only got one layer by default. I'm going to come back to that in a minute, and it'll show me the layers that I have. I also have an event sheet, and this is where I'm going to put finger quotes around the word code. This is where the code goes. You don't actually have to write any code, but there's some events that fire, and you can have actions that respond to those events, which is usually what you're doing when you're writing user interface code. So let's get started to build this thing. First thing I want to do is I'm going to create this what we call a top-down shooter game. This is the Spinach Top Battles, the monsters. And we want to have some kind of background. If we're looking at the world from above, we want to see the surface of this alien world. And what I could do is I could add something to this, right-click, insert new object, and that gives me a list of object types. And you notice they're categorized: web, platform-specific, monetization, media, etc. And the thing that I can go down to the section where I know it is, the tiled background, and select tiled background. Or if I didn't know where it was, or I couldn't find it, but I knew it was called something background, I can just start typing in the search button. It'll come up that way. Either way. And I can give it a name right here. If I don't give it a name, it'll just be called tiled background as a default name. So I'll just call it, I don't know, ground right here, and insert that, and then drop it somewhere right here. All right. And from here, I've got a drawing palette. I can say what that background's going to look like. I've got a brush here and a line tool here. I can change the color to something else. I can draw shapes like this. But I've actually got some artwork that I borrowed from somebody else. And if I click here, load an image from a file, this little open folder here, then I can go down and find this artwork that I borrowed from one of these free sites. And you notice it's kind of an alien texture-looking thing right there. And I want to fill the whole background. So what I can do is I can drag it way up to the corner here and get as close as I can, and I can resize it to fill it. That's a lot of work, though. I don't want to do that. What I want to do instead is I want to just click on it and then change the properties. So the position, if I want to put it in the very top left corner, I can set the position to x equals 0 and y equals 0, and that'll place it right in the top corner right here. And if I want to fill the entire screen, I can drag it up there to fill the whole thing, or I can select the layer itself and look at the size of that layout, 1708, 950, and just copy that, and now select my background and paste it into here, and now it's going to fill the entire area. I'm going to undo that real quickly to show you. See this dashed line right here? This area, you'll notice, is a lot bigger than the dashed line. The dashed line is what the viewer will see in the screen. So if I launch this thing, let me launch it right now. It'll open up in a browser, and you'll see that here's the whole area. It doesn't even fill the area. This background doesn't even fill the area of the screen. But if I then change the size to fill everything, then I run it. Now it fills the screen and then some. There's actually part of the game that's out here to the right and down to the bottom. I'm anchored up at the top left. And that's my background. I'm going to leave it at that. I want that background layer not to change. I don't want to accidentally click it and drag it. So I'm going to lock it. And the way I lock it is I push this little padlock here. And see that icon changes to a lock that is locked. I also want to rename it so I know what it is. This is the background right there. And I'm not going to touch this again. This will be just static in the background, the ground. I want to create another layer by hitting this plus on the layers button. This one I'm going to call the game layer. And almost everything is going to happen here on the game layer. I'm going to put my hero Spinach Top on there. I'm going to put the monsters on there, the dragons and the bullets. All that action is going to happen on the game layer. So when I have this selected, then when I put drop objects on here, they will be on the game layer. So let's drop an object onto here. I'm going to go back up to the top left here. And I'll right-click, insert new object. And here I want to, most of the objects that I added to the game are called sprites. Sprites are the actors in the game, the things that interact with each other. And I want to call this one Spinach Top. Insert that and drop it somewhere where I want it to be. And again, I could draw a picture of Spinach Top, you know, with his green hair and whatever. But he put some. That's him. But I've already got one, and I could open this up and I could grab a picture of Spinach Top here. This is, if you look at this picture, you'll see that he is. It's a top-down image of him. So looking at him from above, he's holding a ray gun, and his eyes are bulging out, and there's his arms, his red shirt. He looks right there. Let me just go ahead and do that, and I'll resize it so that it looks pretty nice on screen right here. In fact, I'll change his size to, how about 75, 75. There we go. That looks pretty good. And if I run this, you'll see, there he is. He's just sitting there not doing anything. Let's make him a little bit more interesting by adding some animation. If I go to here, double-click on Spinach Top, you'll notice, I've got to drag things around a little bit, you'll notice that they have these animations. And I have different sets of animations. I'm going to just have one set of animation, but I want to add multiple frames to give him something that makes him look more alive. And there's a couple different ways to do that. One way you can do that is, for this animation set, I can add new frames to it. And the frames down here, when I've selected it, I've only added one frame so far. I can right-click and add another frame. And in here, by default is blank, but I'll add a picture like this. All right, which is slightly different than the first picture, right there. And I'm going to make sure that I'm going to just delete that really quickly and just make sure that I added the right one here. Hang on a second here. So let me see. Add frame. I want to make sure that I've added all the right pictures. So I don't remember if I started with number 1. So I'll start with number 1 here and delete that one. It won't let me delete the last one. And I'll add frame. And the second frame, I'll add picture number 2. And then for the third frame, I'll add picture number 3. And the fourth frame, I'll add picture number, you guessed it, 4. And looks like I got 5 pictures total, so let me do that. Add frame, picture number 5. There we go. And let's go ahead and close that and actually open it up again. Right here, I can right-click on this animation set and say preview, and you'll see that he's kind of got some animation here. Now, it only happened one time. I don't like that. I like the fact that his hair is blowing in the wind and his eyes kind of move around a little bit, but I want it to repeat. So what I want to say is loop, yes. I don't want just one loop. I want him forever to be blowing in the wind. There we go. Now there's a classy guy right here. Gives it a little bit more life. And in fact, when I preview this again, there he goes. That looks like it's got a little bit of motion to it. So I like that. All right. Let's add some action to this. Right now he just sits there and looks handsome with his hair blowing in the wind. Let's do a little bit more. I want to be able to move him around. I want to move him around with my arrow keys. And I can do that just by adding a behavior. I can do it really quickly. With Spinach Top selected, here's the properties for Spinach Top, one of which is behaviors. There's no behaviors right now, but there is this link that says behaviors. It brings up this dialog, and here no behaviors are listed, but I can click the plus button to add a behavior. And here are all the behaviors that are available to a sprite. And the one that I'm interested in right now, you see they're categorized: attributes, general, movements. I'm interested in one that makes it move, and the one I want to make it move is this 8-direction movement. That'll allow me to use my arrow keys. If I press the up key, he'll move up, the down key will move down, left and right will move left and right correspondingly. If I hold 2 keys at the same time, then he'll move diagonally, and that's why it's 8 directions. So I'm going to just add that behavior, and now when I run, I haven't written a line of code, but I've actually got some action here. Pretty nice. You can move all around this area. And remember I said that this is just a small portion of the entire landscape? There's more of that world out here to the right. Well, he's gone off screen. I can't see him. He still exists. He hasn't died or anything like that. Be nice if we had, what could happen. Maybe we could have this kind of camera following him wherever he goes. And I could do that also through a behavior. So right here, I'm going to select Spinach Top Sprite again, and here's behaviors. You can see, by the way, there's some properties of that 8-direction behavior right here. But if I click behaviors, I want to add a new behavior, and the behavior I want to add is called scroll to. And what scroll to does is, if we imagine that there's a camera following him, and this is the viewfinder camera, that it just moves as he moves. It moves with him until he gets to the edge of the world. So once we get to the edge of the world, then it stops moving him. You can see why it's important to have a textured background, otherwise you wouldn't be able to see this movement. You know, he shows up against it. All right, that looks a lot better. There's another issue here. What happens if he goes off the edge of the world? This is actually the edge of the world. Now he's actually kind of fallen off the edge of the universe. He's not dead. He can always come back, but I have no way of tracking him now. And I need to just decide what's going to happen when he goes off the edge of the world. And I have a couple of options, all of which I can handle through behaviors. So let me grab spinach top here, click on him, and I'm going to add a new behavior that has to do with handling this edge of the world. And I have an option. I could have it. Maybe it could wrap around. Maybe when he goes off the top, he reappears in the bottom. I've seen games that do that. Maybe when he goes off the edge of the world, he dies. Maybe that's the way it's going to work. I don't want to do that. What I would do is I would just say bound to layout. So there is nothing beyond the edge of the world. He's stopped when he does that. So now what will happen is if he tries to go too far to the right, or the top, or the bottom, or the left, he's going to just bang. He just won't. You just can't go any further. So for my game, I've made that choice right here. I could have made it so that he appeared on the other side. I could have made a lot of decisions. That's the decision I decided to make here. Again, I haven't written a line of code. I'm just adding behaviors to it. Pretty cool. All right, let's add some bad guys. All right, let's add a monster. I'm going to right-click and say Insert New Object. This will also be a sprite, and we're going to call this the Tongue Monster. It's just a giant head with his tongue sticking out, and his ears are flapping. So if I click over here off the screen here, then I can add a tongue monster. And again, I could draw the tongue monster here if I wanted to, but I've got a picture of him already that I can get. In fact, actually, I don't have a picture. What I have is a sprite strip. So I'm going to show you another way of doing animations. Where's my animation? It's in this little demo art, construct to demo art. That's what it does. Presentations, construct to demo art. That's what I want. So in here, these pictures right here, I have this concept of sprite strips. And I found these online on one of those free Creative Commons sites. And I have a tongue monster flying sprite. Here we go. Open this up. Here's my sprite sheet here. Let me zoom in so you can see that a little better. There are 5 columns and 2 rows. So there's 10 frames, and you can see that this could cause an animation that shows his ears going up and down, his mouth opening up and down, opening up and closing, and the tongue coming in and out. So this will create a nice animation. And I can add this all at once in my game simply by right-clicking on my animation frames and saying import frames from sprite strip and grabbing that tongue monster flying sprite strip. And I have to tell it that there are 5 horizontal cells and there are 2 vertical cells. And I'll replace the existing animation because there's a blank one right here. I'll do OK. Are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure. That's why I click it. And here we go. And I also want to make sure that this animation is looping. I want it to happen all the time, right here. And if I preview that, what you'll see is this really cool animation that's occurring. So that's a nice, easy way to do that. I just borrowed somebody else's sprite strip. I could, of course, create my own, but somebody was giving it away for free. I just gave them my credit screen, and there it is. Now, he's off screen right here. You can't even see him. What I want to do is give him some behavior so that he'll come attack Spinach Top. Let's do that. We can do this declaratively here through this behavior. With this tongue monster selected, I will add a behavior. And the behavior I want to add is called the bullet behavior. And the bullet behavior, it's under movement here, right here. This will cause this monster to move in one direction in a straight line. Unless another force acts on it, it'll go in a straight line forever at constant velocity. So that's the default. There's some options here as well, whether it's affected by gravity or there's acceleration, some other things, there's a bounce off solids. But right now, it's going to move along with this behavior. So we'll see this in action here. There he goes, this comment. That seems kind of fast, so what I'm going to do is slow it down a little bit. So this property of speed, I'm going to reduce that to about 75. We can speed it up as the game goes along. But there he is. There's this creepy monster coming along, flapping his ears and sticking his tongue out. He looks pretty scary. Except he's just one monster. Let's create a few more monsters. Let's do this here. Actually, let's make him head towards spinach top. So right now, he just goes in one direction, right here. What I'd like to do is always have him chase spinach top. So what I'm going to do is, right now you see that he goes off screen. And once he goes out off screen, he kind of disappears. And he never comes back. He's going to go out in that same direction forever. That's what the bullet behavior does. How about whenever he goes outside the layout, I want him to turn around. I'm going to face directly at chasing spinach top. Let's do that. For this one, we've got to go to, there's no behavior that does that. I have to go to the event sheet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an event. And the event says whenever this tongue monster is outside of the layout, so I'm going to have an event that refers to the tongue monster. And here's all the events that are available to sprites. We have, they're categorized, angle and animation, appearance, and some because I've added the bullet behavior, there's some events about the bullet, etc. And what I want to do is under angle, under size and position, I want to say is outside layout. So when the tongue monster is outside the layout, I'll select that, then that's the event. I want to add some action. So whenever the tongue monster is outside the layout, what I want to do is I want to turn him to face spinach top, and then the bullet behavior will have him going forward in that direction, right towards spinach top. So the action will be an action of the tongue monster. And here's all the actions, and they're categorized by angle, animation, appearance, etc. And there's some bullet actions. This is an angle action. I want to say set angle toward position. And I set the angle toward the position. It asks me what's the XY coordinates of the position. This will point him towards some XY point. And I could hard code that in here. I could say at X equals 47 and Y equals 42. But I don't want to hard code it. What I want to do is to say wherever spinach top is. So I'll say where X equals spinach top. You see the IntelliSense kind of kicking in here. I'll press tab to finish that. Spinach top dot, and here's all the properties of spinach top. Here's a property called X. And X equals spinach top dot X and Y equals spinach top dot Y. That's the exact position wherever spinach top is at the time that the tongue monster goes outside the layout. So now what will happen is that as I run through this, he's going, he started off screen, so he immediately turned towards spinach top. The bullet behavior said go in that direction. Now he's going to go off screen again, or outside the layout here. He's going to turn around and he's going to come back straight towards spinach top. And that's not hard coded. What will happen is if I move spinach top somewhere else, he's going to adjust and always be chasing spinach top. Oh my God, he's chasing! It's pretty scary. All right, that's pretty cool. Let's get some more tongue monsters here. Make it even more scary. So let's copy this guy. Right-click, copy, and then paste, click, paste, click, paste, click, paste, click. There we go. Paste, click. I don't know how many I need here. Paste, click, run that. Let's see what happens here. They're all chasing me. Ah! All right, I've escaped. But there's only what 7 of them. It looks like. Let's make it so. They're still. I can't get away. So the 7 doesn't seem like a lot. Let's add more as the game goes on. So what I'm going to do is add a new event here. Add an event that says every 3 seconds create a new monster. Let's do that. There's an event that lets you do something every X seconds. It's under System. So I'll select as my add event, System event, and then down here under the time category, every X seconds. And this event actually has a parameter. You have to say it every X seconds. Well, what do you mean by X? Is it every 1 second, every 10 seconds? And I can put the parameter in here. So I'm going to put a parameter of every 3 seconds. That's my event. I want some action to occur, and the action will be a new monster appears. So I want the system to create instantiate a new monster. So I'll say the action is a system action, and down here under general, I have, maybe it's not under general, it's under, oh yeah, right here, general, create object. Next, and this has parameters, says create object, what object do you want to create? And I can just select a new tongue monster. And then it asks me what layer. Well, the layer is this games layer. I want everything to be on the games layer. And I can tell it, you see, I can either identify it as layer 1 right here, or I can identify it as layer game, either way. Either one works. It's the same thing. And the XY coordinate, if I leave it at 0, 0, then the monster, every 3 seconds a monster will be created at the top left corner of the game. I don't really want that. Let me show you this. If I run this, then every 3 seconds, 1, 2, 3, a monster appears there and just goes straight ahead. 3 seconds later, a monster appears there. I don't want it to appear there. I want it to be coming at me from lots of different places. So what I can do is I can change this to say not 0, 0, but how about x equals, I don't know, negative 25. I'll just, something that's off screen to the left. And then y, I want that to be a random spot somewhere in the game. And there is a function called random. There's a lot of built-in functions here, one of which is random. So I start typing it and press tab, and it fills it in. And I put a parentheses in here, it tells me what the parameters are. It's the range. So I could say random from 0 to 200 if I want to. And that'll work pretty well, but what would be better is y0 equals the very top of the screen, but maybe the maximum I should do the the layout width, which is a built-in property. So now it'll randomly select something. It'll create this monster off to the left somewhere, off to the left, 25 pixels off to the left, but randomly between 0 and the layout. Yes?
You want layout height?
Layout height is what I want. Of course it is. Yeah. Thank you. 10 points to Gryffindor. Thank you. There we go. So now what will happen is, yeah, still every 3 seconds we got our original 7 or so monsters, but every 3 seconds a new one will be created, and he'll come on screen. He'll be chasing Spinach Top somewhere. There he is. He was way off screen here, and these new ones are coming here. Oh, you know what? They're not coming. Oh, there's an interesting thing. So these new monsters don't have. They're not actually designed to chase Spinach Top. The first 7 were, and the reason is because I made a mistake. Because I made this behavior, or this. Let's see. Outside the layout. Tongue monster is outside the layout. Over here. This is something that changed recently. So the tongue monster is here. When he's outside the layout, that should be going, aren't you? Set angle toward. Why is that not happening? I don't know. I'll do this again. These guys come, and the tongue monster, when he's outside the layout, which he is, maybe minus 25 isn't far enough outside. Why is he not facing towards Spinach Top? I don't see that. So maybe I need to create him every 3 seconds. Maybe minus 25 isn't fully outside. Maybe it needs to be minus 30. Let's try that. Or 1, 2, 3. And he's not angled towards Spinach Top, and that's confusing me. I don't know why that is. Anybody see what I'm doing wrong here?
I got a question.
Yes.
And maybe it'll help with the answer. When you set the properties, are you setting properties for the item on the screen, or are you editing the object down in the object list?
That's a great question. So the question was, when I set a property here, this is an instance of Spinach Top monster, right? The flying tongue monster. If I go over here to my projects, I can actually see the flying tongue monster. So I have an option. I can either set the property for all the flying tongue monsters by changing this right here. So for example, if I make the speed be 500, every monster should go really, really fast, including the new ones that are created. However, let me change that back. What do I have at 75? If I can also change just this one and make this one be 500, and now the rest of them will not be affected by that. So now that one's 500, the rest of them are set. So I have the option. And it really depends upon what is selected at the time that I change the property sheet.
Does that include events?
So, but in this case, this was not a property. So what I did here was I said when the tongue monster is outside the layout, let me go back, and I selected the tongue monster. And so this should be all of them. So I think I have a theory. Maybe if I do like this and do a Control F5, then maybe that'll fix the problem. It did not. Very odd. All right.
Oh, did you see the last one? Two of them went towards it.
That's because those were ones that were created already. Looks like the ones that were created originally are. So after they come on screen, then they do that. I just let me change this back. I've messed around with this here, so I want to say the tongue monster speed should by default be 75 for all of them, and this one, don't override it for any of these. That looks like the speed is about right. Okay, so I'm not really sure why. I would expect that these when new ones are created that they are automatically. I mean, I could add that to that to say after they're created, then add tongue monster set angle toward position spinach top. This will resolve it. This seems like a hack, but this should work though. So now when I create it. So yeah, the original 7 come towards me, and the new ones that are created, they should also come toward me as well. It's always from the left, but at some random angle. And that fixed it. That seemed like a hack to me, but this is changed behavior. The game does change once in a while, and it's there are updates every couple of weeks, and maybe they just change the behavior of this. But okay, I got it working, and it's getting more and more scary as more and more things get added to this. In fact, let me make it a little bit more scary. I'm going to say that every X seconds, I want the things to speed up a little bit. So how about that? Let's do that. Let's add an event that says every 5 seconds. So every X seconds, set it to 5. Right here, I want to increase the speed of the tongue monster. I'll say tongue monster, and the speed is a part of the bullet property. So I want to say under bullet, I have set speed, the bullet behavior, I should say. And I want to set speed to, it was 75. What I want to do is actually just increase it. So if I take the tongue monster dot bullet dot speed times, and I probably want to do something like 1.1, just make it go a little bit faster. But just so you can see it, I'll say times 3. Every 5 seconds, they'll all triple their speed. How about that? So this will be really obvious. I don't think it'll be that much fun to play because it'll be too hard. But they start out really slow, and then all of a sudden they go to every 5 seconds they should triple their speed. There we go. And then 5 seconds later they should triple it again. And then triple it again until it's finally just impossible to even keep track of these things. You can't hit them. You can't avoid them. They're just too fast for me. Which eventually would be nice to get to that, but really what I would do in a real game, I'd probably put it some reasonable level, let you play it for a while, and then just make it get harder and harder. You might not even notice that it's getting harder. But boy, as time goes on, I'm killing them, but they're coming at me even more, and they're faster, and they're more powerful. Just like life. All right, so we've got all these monsters here. Let's kill some monsters. Who's up for killing some monsters? We got some small children. You guys okay? Mom, you okay if I'm going to kill some monsters? All right, here we go. All right, let's see. So let's do that. We're going to kill the monster, we need a bullet. So we've already got a gun. Where did I go? Spinach top. If you look at him, he's got a gun. Look at that. There he is. All right, so let's add a bullet. Up here, I'm going to insert a new sprite. I'll call it bullet right here. And by the way, if I forget to name these things, like if I insert, am I under projects? It should add, where's my object? There's my bullet right there. So if I forgot to name it, I can always come in here and rename it this way as well. So here's my bullet. I'll add it right, put it over here, and double click, and I have a picture of a pretty cool bullet. I created it myself. There it is. This little futuristic bullet looking thing. Can I zoom in to see that? Whoa, it's awesome. There we go. And it's up here. I'm going to leave it off screen here because I don't want you to see it until we fire. Now I want to give some behavior to this bullet. Guess what behavior I would add to a bullet? Anyone have a guess? What behavior would a bullet have? What?
I have an idea.
What is it?
So like you said it, so when it had a collision with one of the monsters would go off the screen. So technically
Maybe.
the monster would be dead. Or not.
Maybe.
Then you might get lag though.
Well, I mentioned a behavior earlier that I think is that I want to add first of all to the bullet, and that behavior was the bullet behavior. So we've already seen this, and the bullet behavior is just has this thing going in one direction constantly forever unless acted on by some other force. And that makes sense for a bullet. That's kind of what bullets do. So this one I won't actually see it because, well, I'll put it down here so you can see it, but if you'll see that bullet flying. But I actually don't want that to appear, so I'll leave them off screen until until Spinach Top fires a bullet. So let's make him fire a bullet. And I want him to fire a bullet in response to a mouse click. Now, in order to do a mouse click, there's no mouse actually available, mouse activities available in the game by default. I have to add mouse capabilities. In fact, any kind of input, I have to add capabilities to it. So the way I add capabilities on the mouse is by inserting a new object, and down here under input, I have gamepad, keyboard, mouse, and touch. So I can add this stuff, but I have to explicitly do that. So I'm going to insert mouse, and it doesn't appear anywhere on screen here, but it does appear under object types. And what this did was it gave me the ability then to add mouse events. Now mouse appears in here. So I'm going to add an event as a mouse event, and it'll just be the click event, on click. I could make it a double click if I wanted to, but I'm going to do on click. It'll ask me, do you want the left or the right or the middle click? I'll just take usually when I say click, I mean the left single click, not right double click. So I'll just leave the defaults here. So when the user clicks the mouse, what I want to do is I want Spinach Top to fire a bullet. And the way I can do that is just by having Spinach Top instantiate a bullet, because as soon as the bullet comes into existence, then that behavior, that bullet behavior will cause it to go, forward at a constant velocity like bullets do. So I'll say Spinach Top is the action, and I have an action here under miscellaneous called spawn another object. So I'm going to say Spinach Top will spawn another object, and which object? Well, the object is the bullet. Okay, I want it to be on layer 1. I want everything to be on layer 1 or on the game layer because they're going to interact with the monsters, which are also on layer 1. And this image point, I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to come back to that, but right now I'll just leave it at 0. And what will happen is that when I click, you'll see that he's firing a bullet. It's pretty cool. Do you see a problem with this though? I'm going to zoom in so you can see it better. Oh, I guess I can't zoom in. But
Zooming in a little for you.
okay. If you look at Spinach Top, let me move him away from the monsters. Click, click, click. Where's that bullet coming from? Is it coming from his gun? It's not coming from his gun. It's coming from his forehead. He's shooting out of his forehead, and that's a problem. What I want to do is I want it to come out of the tip of his gun. So the way I do the reason that's happening is because of this image point. Image point 0. And I actually only have, Spinach Top only has one image point. That's by default, every sprite gets one image point. And if I click on this right here, set origin and image points, I click on that, then you'll see it's really hard to see, but right here there is an icon indicating the single image point. And over here in the image points, you'll see there's only one image point. Now I don't want to move that because this also controls when he rotates. I want him to rotate around this as the center of the object. What I want to do is to add a second image point. And I click on in the image points pane, I click the plus sign and add a second image point. I could give that a name like gun barrel, or I could refer to it by its number, either way. And then I will specify that image point is right here at the tip of his gun. And in fact, because I have a multi-frame animation, I really have to do that for all 5 frames of this. I don't know a way around that. Oops, dang it. I didn't need that. I need to add one. So here, Control Z. Oh, it won't let me undo. All right, I'll have to move it back. Put it back here. I'm gonna guess about where it was. This, try to keep it in about the same spot, right there. What I want to do is add one, click, and then this one should be about there. He's gonna jiggle a bit now. Add one, click, and add one, click right here. So now what should happen, hopefully I've got all those correct. Now when I run it, it should actually fire out of his, let me do a Control F5, and I did something wrong, let me see. So, oh, you know what I didn't do? I have to come in here and say, not image point 0, now it's image point 1. Now it makes sense. So now it fires out of his gun. There it is. Right here. All right, and right now the only way I can aim is by moving him. Why don't I give him the ability to actually aim? The player can aim spinach top. Let's do that. And the way that I like to aim is I'll say have him point to wherever my mouse cursor is. Let's do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an event. It's a system event called every tick. Every tick this is an event that occurs, I think it's like 60 some times a second, essentially constantly. So every tick is in general, I think right there. Every tick is my event, and I want to have constantly, I want spinach top pointing towards my mouse. So this action will be spinach top, and we've seen this one before, under angle, set angle toward position. We did this before when we said set the monster's angle position towards spinach top.x and spinach top.y. Now I want to do towards mouse, x equals mouse.x, and y equals mouse.y, like that. And that'll work. This mouse only is available to me here because I added the mouse to the game. So now I've actually given the ability for him to move around as well, to aim without me. So he could do the thing where he's like aiming backwards as he's firing the gun, like in the movies, until he gets to the edge. So now I've got actually a pretty good game here. There's a lot going on with I haven't really written any code. I've only hit the event sheet a few times. Now these bullets don't do anything. Let's make them dangerous bullets. So we need some violence in this game. Now we're going to kill some monsters. And the young man in the back here mentioned this here. What happens when a bullet strikes a monster? We got to handle that situation. You want it to die?
Because not where they would go up to the top of the screen, you just can't do any monster really.
That's pretty good. You get him knocked out of the screen. How about if he explodes? His head explodes and then he dies. Is that good enough for you?
Okay.
All right, let's do that.
If you go to the screen, then he comes back down. Technically that way you won't lag.
Well, we don't let them come back down because we're having new monsters created every 3 seconds anyway. So one monster dies. This is a cold, heartless game. These monsters, we're just killing them off. We probably should have put, this is basically a PG-13 user group. I'm just saying. All right, let's go here. Probably should have said that up front. Sorry, guys. About 1,000 people in the back just walked out. Let's see what we're gonna. Oh, let's do it. So we're gonna add some behavior here. Actually, it's not. There's no built-in behavior, but what I can do is I can handle the case when a bullet collides with a monster. That's the situation. That's the event. So let's add an event, and this could be an event of the bullet or the monster. It doesn't really matter. They're going to hit each other. So we'll make it an event of the bullet. There's a whole section here on collisions right here, and then I want to say on collision with another object. So when the bullet is on collision with another object, it'll ask me, what is that other object? Why, it's the tongue monster. What should happen? The action should be that the monster dies. So let's add an action. Tongue monster is destroyed. I think that's under miscellaneous. Yeah, destroy. Tongue monster dot destroy, basically. So now what will happen is that every time let me get a little separation here so you can actually see the monster die. Hang on. There we go. Boom. That's a pretty powerful bullet there, actually. You see that? It actually goes through one and continues behind it, so you can shoot multiple ones. I don't really like that's too easy. I'm going to say also the bullet is destroyed as well. So I can add multiple actions to the same event. Bullet is destroyed. So both as soon as it kills one monster, that bullet just it doesn't turn around here. All right, so there we go. That's pretty good. I've killed all the monsters, but every 3 seconds a new monster comes. Sometimes they're way off screen, so that's not a violent enough death for me. I'm going to make it a little bit more interesting. Young folks, cover your eyes. What I want to do is I want his head to explode. This guy knows what I'm talking about, right back here. And I have a sprite sheet for that. Check this out. This is my tongue monster dying sprites. In here, let me zoom in on this. And you can see this is the tongue monster with his head exploding. It's a sprite sheet. What does it have? I have to know ahead of time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in a row, and only one row. All right, so I need to know that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new sprite. Insert object, I'll call it the dying tongue monster. I'm a big fan of naming things descriptively, so you can always find them. Insert that. I'll insert it off screen. I don't want to see it until I call it up. And then I'm going to insert, just like we did before with the tongue monster, we'll say import frames from sprite strip, and it'll be this one right here that I showed you, tongue monster dying, right there. There were, what did I say, 8 in one row, and replace this existing one because there's a blank one there I want to get rid of. And are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. Okay. I don't want to loop it. I don't want to do it one time. So let me just see this. Preview. Oh, pretty cool. Awesome. And I'll do that. And the other thing I want to do this is once he gets down to that last little bit of flesh, I want to just totally destroy this dying tongue monster as well. So I can add a behavior, and the behavior is the destroy behavior, or the fade behavior. I think the fade fade. It'll just fade out and destroy it when that last one comes in. And then it's not taking up memory as well. So let's see here. Let's grab this right here. Let me move out of the way. And again, I want to get some separation so you can see this, because this is a pretty dramatic death. That did not work. Where did that work? Oh, I didn't do it. I created this, but I didn't do anything. So what I want to do is now I have the tongue monster and I have the dying tongue monster. What I want to do is when the bullet strikes him, I don't want to just destroy him, but I want to, before he's destroyed, I want to have the tongue monster instantiate a dying tongue monster. So I add a new action here. Tongue monster is going to spawn another object, which I forget where it is, so I'll just type spawn because I know that's what it's called. Spawn another object. Next, it'll ask me what object, and the object will be the dying tongue monster, like that. And I want to be on layer 1. Image point 0 is fine. I want it to be right in the center. Here, I'll move this up. I want it to spawn it before it's destroyed. So there's no overlap here. And now what will happen here? Let's see. Whoa, that's pretty cool. I like that. That's pretty dramatic. Not as dramatic as if we added sound, though. Let's add some sound. Let's do that. How do we add sound? We need to do is insert a new object. We have to give the game doesn't have, by default, doesn't have the capability for sound, so I need to add audio to the game. And once I do that, then I can go over here and I can add a new audio file. And I have a few audio files. Where am I? Here it is, audio, object types, audio. Sounds, right here, sound. Import sounds. And I have one right here. Let me play them for you. You guys can actually decide what happens. Here's the audio. So I have the death E, death falling, death S, and do. So here's one. Play. Oh, I got to turn my mic up here. That's pretty quiet. That's kind of dumb. Let's do the deathy. That's pretty good. That's the sound of a tongue monster dying. There's another death. I like that one. And then, what's this one? Another kind of monster dying sound. Any one of those are fine. I'll just grab the first one. So I'll add that. That's one right here. Import it. Imports in the formats that are supported. Actually does some conversion. Okay. And now what I'll do is I can add an action. Now I've got this in here as an M4A and an Ogvorbis file, and I'm going to say when he dies, it's not enough to have him head explode and disappear. We also want to have this audio play. Audio play. There's a lot you can do with audio, but play is probably the most common thing. And I want to have this thing sound one time. Volume, it says volume 0. Volume 0 means the volume at which it was recorded. Negative numbers will make it quieter, and positive numbers make it louder. So volume 0 is a little bit misleading. We usually think volume 0 means silent. Yeah, this is going to be cool. Check this out. Now, oh, man, that was really satisfying. This game is too easy. I just shoot this guy and he dies. What if I had to shoot him 5 times before he died? Wouldn't that be better? What do you think? Yeah, it would be better. Let's make it a little more challenging. So what I'm going to do is I got to keep track of how many times each monster's been shot. And I do that through something called an instance variable. So if I select this tongue monster here, then the properties are over here, and I have a whole section here on instance variables. There aren't any instance variables right now, but if I click this link, then it brings up a list of the instance variables that I don't have, and I can click plus to add an instance variable. And so I'll call this, I don't know, monster health. I guess that's redundant. I'll just call it health, since it's the health of the monster. I can tell it that it's a number, a Boolean, or text. Those are the only options I get here. The initial value, how about we'll start with an initial value of 5, and every time he gets hit, that number will go down. And what it means for this to be an instance variable is that this monster will have a health, and this monster will have a health, and this one. They're all independent of each other, so it's keeping track. Even new monsters that are created, it's keeping track of what the health of each individual monster is. So it knows how many times that particular monster has been hit. So that's what I need to do. Is I need to, when the bullet collides with him, I'm going to decrease the health by 1. So my action, I'm going to add an action to this bullet collision with monster, tongue monster, and there's a whole section on the actions under instance variable. I want to say subtract from, and there's only one instance variable. If I had more, I'd select it. Subtract from the health, subtract 1 from the health. All right? And then there'll be another event that says when the health gets to 0, that's when the monster dies. So let's do that. Let's say add an event, tongue monster, and there's a section of events for instance variable. Say compare instance variable, and you want to say when the health equals 0. And in fact, actually, I'm going to change that a little bit and say when the health is less than or equal to 0. And the reason I'm doing that, it won't make any difference in the way the game is played right now, but you could imagine that, like, I do have that power-up thing that I did where it made the bullets more powerful, and those what I'm doing was I'm subtracting 2 each time, and it might go from 1 to -1. I might skip over 0. So I want to make sure it's less than or equal to 0, like that. So if I do that, now I have this event, and this is when he actually died. So what I can do is I can grab some of these, let's just drag them, some of these actions, just drag them down here. Say, the only thing that happens when a bullet hits the monster is the bullet is destroyed and the variable is decreased by 1. All this other stuff, like spawning a dying tongue monster and killing the monster and playing the audio, all that stuff happens when the health gets to 0. I'll leave the bullet, it's still a single-use bullet, but that's the only visible thing that you'll see when the first, second, third, and fourth bullet hit the monster. Only when that 5th bullet hits the monster do we actually see this. Now we're getting a little bit harder. This is a more interesting game, I think. So I'm going to wait till they get a little separation here. Here's one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I love it. This thing I can play on. I love the fact that there's no way for me to die.
Well, you should add another way to that.
I could what?
Give yourself help, and like whenever they collide, you usually take damage.
I could do that. Let's see. What I was going to do is I was going to make him. I usually add the death of the player last because that way it's not getting in the way. I can demo other stuff here. I will. How we doing for time? I've been up here an hour.
Just under an hour
I have an hour left?
Up to an hour, or up to 50 minutes.
All right.
We try to keep it between 30 to 90 minutes.
Well, let me ask you guys here. We got a lot of stuff here that I could show. I could create the dragons. The dragons are pretty similar to the tongue monster, except that they breathe fire. And I'll just go to create the dragon. I won't go through the whole thing because you'll see it. And then I'll stop when we get to the creating the fireballs. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a new sprite called the dragon here, and it's animated as well. I'll put him off screen somewhere. I'll put him off to the right. Let's add him, dragon right here, off to the right, and I have a sprite for him. Pictures, dragon sprites. That's his wings flapping 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So let's grab this right here and add here. Here, that's good. All right, I want that to loop. All right, that's good. And I think, let me see, I'll give the bullet behavior to him. How about this? Behaviors, add bullet. Okay, and then I think, let's see, do I want to have him, same thing, I'll have him chase spinach top also. So when a dragon is outside the layout, dragon is outside layout, is outside layout, then I want to set the dragon to set angle toward, same thing, spinach top dot x and spinach top dot y. That sounds good. And then what else? I want to spawn a new dragon every X seconds. So add event. So every I don't know, I bet every 7 seconds we're going to spawn a new dragon. The game will create a dragon here on layer 1, and I'll make it, the X position will be, how about layout width plus 30, so he's off to the right, and Y will be random. Random between 0 and layout height. So this is pretty similar to what I did for the tongue monsters, except that it's now coming from the right side, and now they're dragons, and either instantiate a little bit less. So I got to tilt them a little bit. So how am I going to do that? I think if I do, I forgot how to tilt these guys. In edit as clone, move to layer, align, cut, copy, paste. Somewhere in here is a way to, oh, here he is, this right here. Let's try that. I think that works. And that did not work. What am I doing wrong? Maybe it's this guy. There's a tilt in here. Oh, you know what? Probably because maybe I need to tilt them all. Can I do that? This is probably what I need to do, is tilt, rotate, rotate, rotate. I don't remember how to do this, but it's probably the easier way to do this. But this part of programming is just figuring out ways to get things to work. Let's try that. That didn't work. Maybe I did Control F5. Sometimes that flushes it out. That's odd. Oh. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong here. So let me just. So he's going to look kind of funny. He's moving around. The animation actually was pretty cool. if you preview this, you can see his wings are flapping. It is kind of a nice, oh, he's still going. I must not have that. Left, left. That's very odd. I don't really know what I did wrong here. I'm going to delete him really quickly. And add it again. Insert a sprite. Call it dragon. And import frames from sprite strip. Dragon sprites. 8. Replace. OK. OK. And I thought there was a way. Let me see. Edit animations. Oh, well. There's no way to just like, no. In this, add, duplicate, rename, collapse all. All right, I'm just gonna leave him face. It'll look a little funny because I've forgotten how to tilt this thing. He'll be flying sideways basically. Oh, I didn't add this stuff here. So I'm gonna say every 7 section, create a dragon on layer 1 at layout width plus 30 and random between 0 and layout height. There we go. That's good. And let's add, how about, that's good. Okay, so now what I want to do is I also want to say every few seconds I want him to shoot a fireball. So I'm going to add an event that says every 10 seconds I want to say the dragon's going to shoot a fireball. I need a fireball. I don't have a fireball. So let me add a new sprite here called fireball here, and I have a picture of a fireball right right there, this right here, and make it a little smaller maybe. And what's going to happen is that we'll give that the bullet behavior. I'll give this thing the bullet behavior, so it'll go in a straight line. That's why I want to do this. I want to show you that these two can both have the bullet behavior. And as long as the fireball is moving faster than the dragon, so the dragon will have him move along at about 50. He'll be kind of a lumbering dragon, but the fireball will move really fast. And what will happen is that we've got the bullet behavior, so rotate behavior. Oh, let's try that. So I got, John here has pointed out that there's a behavior called rotate, not instance variable. Behavior called rotate. Let's try that. And if I set that, then it does this. No, I think that's going to make it spin. Just has a speed. I don't think that's going to work. I don't think that's the right one. Good guess though. Thank you. All right, let's do this here. All right, so I think I've got this thing. Every 10 seconds, a dragon's going to breathe fire, and it's going to shoot out at 400 miles per hour. So let me see if that's going to work here. So when I do this, now every 7 seconds, I should get a new dragon. Let's just kill some monsters while we're sitting around waiting for stuff. And come on, where's my dragon? He's coming off the right side, and the right side's way over here. Did I miss a step? Maybe I missed a step. So I want to create a new dragon. Where is it? Every 7 seconds, create a new dragon. I didn't have the thing pointed. Oh, I need to say add event whenever the dragon is outside the layout. Have the dragon set angle toward rotation, or toward position, spinach top.x and spinach top.y. like that. And here he comes. So here he is, but every 10 seconds he should breathe some fire. And that fire should come out. Come on, let's see some fire. 9, 8, 7. And he's not. Why not? Let me go back here. So I said every 10 seconds. Oh, I didn't add the action. I want the dragon to spawn another object, and that other object will be this fireball. Okay. And the fireball, it's on layer 1. I won't worry about the image point at this point. And let's make it more often than that. Let's have him do it every like 5 seconds just because. Or how about some random number? Random between 0 and 10. I like that. Let's try that. Come on over here. Every 7 seconds. Oh, look at that. There we go. And we're shooting. They're all shooting these fireballs. I don't like the looks of that. I don't like that black background. So let's do this. There's a property that I can set, or a behavior that I can set of this, which I forgot what it is. Is it the opacity? I think it is the blend mode. Is that it? XR destination, source destination, in a top. There's a way, or maybe it's a behavior, that actually lets me change that. I'm going to look at my original game here. This one right here. Here's the real game that's actually in the store. If anybody wants this, I can share this. I should probably get this in GitHub, but even though it's kind of weird because everything is saved just as a single file. So putting it in GitHub is kind of odd. But right here, I have in my dragon, where's the dragon? Right here, I had, is there a property of, he's got a health. So I set the health here, you got to hit him 10 times, and collision with him would make it go, decrease his health by 10. And in bullet effects, blend mode, normal, was it here? Well, I've forgotten what that was. There's a property that lets me, oh, it's not the bullet, I'm sorry, it's the fireball. That's what I want. Fireball has a property. That's it, blend mode additive. That's what I want to do. So I want to make this blend mode additive right here, additive right there. And what that does is it makes it transparent. Let's see. So let's grab that. There we go. That looks pretty cool. All right. What we're going to do? Oh, I guess it's time to. It's just time to kill off Spinach Top. So we're going to have things like killing this guy that right now does nothing, but after 10 strikes, he could die, and I've actually got a sprite here that makes him look really cool when he's dying. It's this one right here. So he actually turns into a skeleton, fades away. That's pretty cool. Oh, you know, actually, there's one bug that I didn't mention that nobody's mentioned here. When I fire a bullet, let me refresh this here. If a bullet doesn't kill any monsters, what happens to that bullet? It goes off screen, and then what? It keeps going forever. Which is probably, I mean, we never see it, and it's probably not a big deal, but be aware that it's still taking up resources. This game is still tracking that bullet, even though it's all the way out in like Kane County or Wood County or something like that. This bullet keeps going, and that's taking resources up the game. So if I fire a lot of bullets and that never get hit, they never hit any monsters, then eventually I'm going to run out of memory. It's going to slow my game down. And so what I want to do is I want to take care of that situation. And the way I can take care of that is I can just say add a behavior to the bullet right here. Here's my bullet. Actually, add it to all bullets here. Right here, I can add a behavior called destroy outside layout, and that just takes care of it. As soon as it gets outside the layout, the bullet just destroys. It's set to null, release from memory. And that's something that you wouldn't really notice unless you played the game a long time. So if I ran this again, you would see no difference, but it would make the game a little bit more efficient. And this is a good idea. Those of you that are learning programming, clean up those extra variables. And your mother doesn't live in your code. You'll have to clean up after yourself. That's my motto. So things that you might not notice at first, you deploy into production, and then all of a sudden somebody plays your game for 24 hours, or use their business application for a long time without restarting it, and suddenly it slows down, it bogs down, and it's a really common thing in programming. All right, let's handle the case where spinach top dies. So what we're going to do is the rule is that if a fireball touches them or if a tongue monster touches them, either one of those things will kill him. So let's do that. And we can handle that through an event. It's a collision, right? So when a tongue monster collides with, on collision with another object, spinach top, then we will destroy spinach top. All right. And let's see, DEST, right there. So he's gone. So that's simple. Boom, he died. All right. We can make his death more violent later on, but right now we're just going to let him die. But that's a pretty boring game. Now the game's over. You can't play anymore. Let's make him create a new spinach top somewhere else. So that's usually what happens. You get multiple lives. So when you die in video games, it's not like real life. It's not forever. You die, you get like a 5-second pause, and then you come back to life. So let's do that. We're going to have a pause. That's a system event. Next. And down here at time, there is wait. Let's say 3 seconds. Okay. Then after 3 seconds, we want a new spinach top. So the game will create a new object, and that new object will be spinach top. We want them on layer 1 on the game layer. X and Y we could just hard code them, put them at the 30 30, or we could put them randomly. Let's do that. Random X random between, how about X equals 0 and X equals the layout width, and Y would be random between Y equals 0 and Y equals the layout height. That's pretty good. One of the problems with this is that if I put them at X equals 0, Y equals 0, this is actually the center of spinach top. So we might actually get a case where he's halfway on screen, halfway off screen. So we want to make sure that he's all the way on the screen. So maybe we'll start with X equals spinach top dot width will be the minimum, and the layout and the maximum will be layout width minus spinach top dot width, something like that. You could do spinach top width divided by 2 if you wanted to be there, but do the same thing with height. Spinach top dot height, and the layout height minus spinach. Now you know that for sure he's going to be totally on screen height right there. Let's try that. And so now when he dies, go ahead and die. Boom, he's dead. He's dead. And there he is. He's just randomly appeared. Now there is a risk that he might appear like on top of a tongue monster, but that's just a risk. I mean that happens in other video games as well. So this is actually a little bit better. Now he's there's a risk involved. It's not much of a risk because he has infinite lives. Let's keep track of his lives and only give him X number of lives. All right. So what we need to do that is we need to add a global variable. We can't use an instance variable that's tied to spinach top because we're destroying spinach top and basically bringing him back to life. So we need a global variable that will live outside of spinach top. And the way you create a global variable is in this blank area down at the bottom of the event sheet. Right-click there and say add global variable, and I'm going to say lives right here. And I set it to 0, but we don't want to start at 0. Let's start. It can be a number or a text. Boolean is an option in global variables. And I'll start with how about 3 lives. Okay. Right there. And then when he's in here, we're going to say add one more thing. When he dies, we want to decrement the number of lives. So let's do that. Add another action, and it'll be it's a system. thing. So under variables right here, I want to subtract from this global variable. Which global variable will allow us to subtract 1 from that? All right. And then I'll need another event that says when it gets to 0, then we want to indicate the game is over. I'll come back to that later on. Oops. So let's just anyway, he'll die. 1 comes back. 2 and 3. There's really no consequence to him dying here. We can't even see the number of lives. Let's display that. In fact, we can't see anything. Like we should keep track of score, right? Let's add another global variable here. Add a global variable we'll call score. It'll be a number starting with 0. And every time we kill a tongue monster, which is when the health goes to 0, let's add a system, add to the score. Score equals score plus 1, right there. And that's pretty cool, but we won't be able to see the score. Let's make sure that we can see the score. And the way we're going to see the score is we're going to add on the layout some text. So I'm going to insert a new object, and we have a text object right here, which I'll call it the score text. I'll put it up here, and it'll start off, the text proper will be score : 0 to start with. It's hard to see, so I'm going to make it bigger, and I'm going to make it yellow, like that, there. And then what I want to do is update this every time the score changes. Or I can just do it constantly. How about that? Let's do every tick. We've already got every tick event right, where are we? Somewhere right here. Every tick, let's just say update that score. So the score text should always reflect. So I've selected that text, and it's got something called set text. And the set text could be, quote, SCORE : space, quote, and then the concatenation sign in this game is ampersand. It's using VB script under the hood. Ampersand the value of that variable score. So this should always show the score at any given time. And remember, we're changing the score every time we kill a monster, right here. So let's do that. Let's see if that works. I'm going to kill monsters. And there we go. That's pretty good. Let's do the lives as well. Same thing, exact same thing. We're just going to add a text right here. We'll call it lives text. Put it right underneath that. Change its color to yellow so we can see it better, and make it big. And resize it so it actually fits that stuff right here. By default, we'll say lives : 3. It doesn't matter. We're going to change it every text, every tick rather, and we'll say where's my every tick? Under here we'll say lives. You can see why I want to name these things, so I know which one's which. Lives text set text equal to quote lives : quote ampersand, and that a global variable lives right there. So now we always know what our score is. We always know what the lives are. We're not killing dragons here. We're only killing monsters. Go there. I got 3, but let's let them kill me here. Boom. And now I should have 1 less life, right? What was it? Oh, you know what? It can't see me. Why can't it see me? This is interesting. The reason I can't see the lives is because it's way up here. See where it is? I need to make sure that this is visible. Let's fix that, actually. Let's do that. The way to fix that is by creating a new layer. Remember these layers? We had the game layer and the background layer. We've been doing everything in the game layer. I'm going to add a 3rd layer. We're going to call this the heads up display. So I'm going to rename it to heads up display. And if I had added if I add something right now while this is selected, it would put it on the heads up display layer. But I've already added this text right here. I can change what layer it's on by going to the properties sheet and saying, there, it's on the heads up display layer. Same thing with this. I'm going to put that on the heads up display layer. And that's not enough. That still won't change anything. I've just put it on this layer, and I still have it moves off screen. What I need to do is there's a property called parallax. It's actually a property of the layer. And what parallax does, what's designed for is if you want to have multiple layers that looked like they were three-dimensional, because this construct is really just a two-dimensional, it's for building two-dimensional games, but if you want to build something that looked three-dimensional so that maybe you had airplanes flying through the air and tanks on the ground and maybe fish underwater, submarines underwater, all looking above, you could create that illusion by adding some parallax so they would move at different angles. As you moved around, you would see them from different angles. But there's an effect that if I set it to 0, it accepts a number between 0 and 100, and that affects how much higher things look. But setting it to 0 essentially says just always keep it in the same spot on the screen. And that's what's going to happen here. So now I always have the score and I always have my number of lives. So that's kind of nice. Increasing the score right here, and then I can, boom, I died, lives 3, and lives 2 now. So I probably should have the lives decremented a little bit sooner right here. Whereas when I died, when my health, where's Spinach stopped dying here? Mouse, system, bullet, tongue monster. Right here. So I should probably subtract that a little sooner, before I wait 3 seconds. That's why it looked a little funny. Lives should be decremented as soon. Now I'm at 2 lives. Right here. And let's go ahead and die. Now I still have infinite lives. Let's grab that right here. Boom. It keeps coming back. It'll just go, lives will go to -1 when I die the last time right here. The consequence of dying should be that the game is over. And the way that I handle game over in my games is I create a second layout. So I have this layout 1. I'm going to rename it to game playing. This is where we've been everything here. And if I add a second layout right here with its own event sheet, and I'll call it game over, man, game over. And then I'll just put some text on here. You can make it prettier for your games, but game over text like that, and put it over here, and then set that text to game over, man, like that. And then what I do is if I go back to here, once you get to 0, I don't have an event for that, do I? I say when that global variable lives, compare value, when lives is less than or equal to 0, then my action is that I'll navigate to another layer. So that's a system action, and I want to say under layers, I want to where am I here? Layer, where am I? I show set layer, set layer, set layer, set layer, set layer. Oh, how do I do this? Not layer, I'm sorry, layout. 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 Go to layout, that's what I want. Go to layout or go to by name, whatever. And the game over one right here. So that's what'll happen is now, oops, I don't want to start on that. I want to say it's less than or equal to 0 right here, right here. Start on this one. And yeah, I can kill monsters, but eventually they're going to kill me once. These fireballs don't kill me, but this guy does. I got 1 life left. And once I get to 0 lives, but I'm taking you all with me. Boom, game over right here. And then usually in here I'll have a button on this layout here. I'll throw maybe some text or a button or something. There's a button right here, which says, type here, checkbox now. Text is, new game. And then in the event for this one, event sheet 2, I like to rename these two. Game playing event sheet and game over event sheet. I like to name everything with its actual name. Then in here I'll have an event that's like when you click that button, this button. I don't like the name of that button, but I'll change it later. On clicked, on-clicked right here, then it would take you back to that other layer. Next, the other layout. Go to layout. There, game over, not that one, go to this one right here, done. And before I do that, I would want to make sure that I reset all my variables. So set my global variables, set that value to, what did I say, 3 lives, and reset the score, stuff like this. You could also do that, when the layout starts, you could set it there as well. So set value of score back to 0. 0, done. And it's going, by default, it's going to whatever one I have selected. So I want to go back here, right here, and now I'll get some score here. So yeah, do that, but it wasn't enough. Game over, and new game takes me back here. So there we go. I think I've showed just about everything in here. I'll give you one more thing. I'll give you the explosion thing. Oh, no, I showed that already. I could certainly add, like, instead of this guy, make him die a little bit more. Have him say, ah, when he dies, and have him explode, stuff like that. That's all things that I can do. But we've seen that already. We've seen the features of it. And I think everything else that I did in here was, let me see, I'm going to go back to my game here. Spinach, top, battles, monsters. And I don't think there's anything in here that I haven't shown you. I do have the credits in here. I like to make sure that I do that. And all that is I come back to my game, and I add one more layout called the credit layout. And just put a bunch of text on here. And this is important if you're doing some sort of Creative Commons stuff. You can just, this is just static text. I'll say, artwork by Joe, whatever. And then I'll put a button on there to navigate back to the home page. I also like to have in here in my game, I have this page here. So I would start with this page, and then you can start a new game from here. I have some background music in here, and you can do that just by adding another audio file in here. Insert new, where's my audio? Down here in sounds, or down here in music is what I did, and I just added music this way. And I think it's this one right here, Shadow the Cloud, I think that's what it is. Import that, and then on the startup of this, of my game, so right here in this event sheet, when the game starts, on startup layout, then my action would be play that audio. So now I've always got play that right there, and just loop it up forever. And so this will just a little music as the game's going on. And this is Construct 2. I love this tool. I haven't played with it for about a year, so this has been a really fun week for me. I've been playing around with this and getting to know it again. And I think I'm going to start going to those local game developer groups, a lot of them up on the north side of Chicago, that I'm going to reach out to see if they want to see more about this. But I love the fact that it's free. Everything I've shown you is free. Go to skira.com, and you'll get more functionality if you pay $120, or if you win the raffle today. You got a chance of, I think some people last week got a chance of 1 in 750 or so left here. Oh, the last thing I'll show you here, actually, before I close out, is that there is the option to export your project. And when you export the project, you can create an HTML5 website and put it up on, you can get a free Azure account, put it up on there, or you can just, if you've got a website, you can put it on that. You could put it in the Skira Arcade, so they have their own hosting here. Some things I don't know what they are. Congregate, I think that must be some kind of game hub for game exchange place. You could create mobile applications, either using the Cordoba framework or specifically for BlackBerry. Create a Windows application. You can create a desktop application that runs with JavaScript. If you buy the paid version, there'll be a lot more things in here. So you could, for example, export it to an iPhone application or an iPad application or an Android app. Those are all in there with a paid version. I think what's happened is that Microsoft is paying the fees for you. They've cut a deal with Skira saying, you know what, if somebody wants to export to the Windows platform, we'll pay their fees. And so that's why you're getting it for free in this free one. Probably BlackBerry has done something similar. But in here you can just export it, click next, and it'll throw it into some default project. This is on my desktop, next. You've got some options here, whether you want to have a hosting embedded thing here. But if I just export it like this is just HTML5, then you should be able just to copy these files out to a web server somewhere and let your friends play it. And let's open that destination folder here. Here it is. And what do I have? I think I probably have like a type. Do I have an HTML file to start with? Indexed HTML right there. So just opening up this on a web server, hopefully, would allow people to play this game in their browser. It won't work until you upload them. When running on the file, protocol browsers block many features for security reasons. Okay, so you have to actually host it on a site with HTTP in front of it. So that's not going to work. But you'll get something very similar to what you'll get when you hit play here. When I hit play, I have localhost 5000. It's running a local web server on here. So it is using some features of the web server that you'll need. But this is if you want to share it with your friends, totally free. It's on there. It's available to you. If you want to actually make money off of it, then you have to buy the paid version of it. Any other questions? Who's going to try this? I'm curious. So you guys, who's going to go home and try this? How about this kid right here is, aren't you?
I didn't understand most of it because we came in late and I had to speak them installing it, but then catching it.
I'll tell you what. That's probably true of everybody here because I talk really fast and there's a lot of stuff going on here. So I'm going to point you to a site that's going to help you out a lot. On Skira.com, right here, SCIRRA.com. You've been there already if you're downloading it. Click on tutorials right here. And on tutorials, this is a great way to get started. Click on this beginner's guide to Construct 2 and just walk right through this. This takes maybe an hour or so. File, new, empty project. It'll provide you with some of these assets. You can just right click and just save that picture and use it. And it'll walk you through building an application, a game that's really similar to what I just did. So when you get home, just try this one out. And this is right here, the one I clicked on is a top-down shooter game, but if you want to try other things like maybe an infinite scrolling game like Super Mario where you're always running to the right, or a game where it's a platform game where you're jumping from moving platforms to other, all sorts of things, all sorts of tutorials in here to learn. Some of them are, I would start with the beginner ones and then move on to the intermediate and advanced ones. Lots of good stuff here. I think it's perfect for you, and I bet everybody didn't catch some of what I said because, like I said, I talk so fast. Any other questions? All right, well, thank you so much for coming. I really enjoyed coming here.
Definitely thank you, David, for coming out to this. We do have a couple of prizes to give away. Unfortunately, I realized that the mic system that I got, which was about the cheapest I could possibly pay for a remote microphone, $11 a piece, only one of them works at a time. So, can I get that one? Awesome. All right. So that's on. All right. So we have two prizes to give away. I'm going to go ahead and have David select from these. Everyone in here is. Yeah, everyone can get into this. Oh, I already passed them out already. First one will get the mouse. Second person gets the license. No, you and I are not.
All right, the winner is.
Just the last two digits should work. Everyone should have a ticket.
6, 6, 0, 4, 0, 2.
02? All right. So,
Thank you so much.
you're welcome. All right, so the next one, the big prize, $130 value. Skira gave this one to us for free to go ahead and give to one member of the audience. So, should just need the last two digits.
I like the drama. 6, 6, 0, 4, 1, 2.
1, 2? You're 12? All right. All right, so I will get in contact with you right after this and get the license codes to you. All right, to let you know, this hasn't been announced on the SDC yet, but we will be presenting on HoloLens next presentation. I will be. Yeah. Yeah, I actually brought it here with me, but I don't have it set up right now, so. What's up?
Maybe after this, but I wanted to make a presentation maybe a couple of months down about uploading to Windows Store.
Okay. John just suggested he'll do a presentation maybe a couple months down the road about publishing to the Windows App Store. Additionally, I also want to say we're looking for more speakers. So we're always looking for more speakers. I mean, we'll set it up, a year down the road. So we've got someone for SDC.Game for November. We don't have someone yet for next month, but worst case, I'll present again on some other interesting topic. But we're usually pretty good about trying to find people. So if you know anyone or you want to give a presentation, let me know. 30 to 60 minutes. It'll be streamed. It'll be set up here. Whatever topic you want to do. SDC.Game every 4 weeks, or basically a third Sunday of the month. It will be focused on video games. SDC was the first Sunday of the month. That one's focused pretty much on any technology. It can be video games as well, but usually we're focusing a little bit more on business technologies then. All right. Are there any questions? Yes, actually HoloLens, when I give the presentation on HoloLens, that is going to be using Unity. So HoloLens has a couple ways that you can interact with it, and honestly, I think Unity is one of the best ones right now because you have a full editing environment that you can work with. The session for the Unity, or for HoloLens, that's going to be the first Sunday of next month. I don't remember the exact date. But if you just check out the SDC website, it'll be on there, also on the Facebook. All right. Did you have a question?
What is HoloLens?
Okay, I will show this. HoloLens is a $3,000 computer that sits on your forehead. This is a HoloLens. So on the HoloLens, you basically just put it on, which it's not adjusted right now. I'm not going to mess with it. But you put it on, and it uses the two separate lenses and does things like virtual reality, except it ties it into the room you're in. It also has sensors inside of here that are detecting the room around you, the 3D shape of your entire environment. So if you create a game for it, you can have the objects in your game interacting with the real world around you. So that's what this is, and it actually just went public so anyone could buy them. But again, there's like a $3,000 price tag for this thing. But it's a complete computer. It operates untethered, and we'll also be doing live streaming so you can see the video feed of anything that's being seen on this. But that'll be 2 weeks from now. That Sunday is is that a holiday weekend?
Labor Day.
Oh, that's Labor Day. Okay, that might have to get pushed out because a lot of people probably will have family obligations and stuff like that. So
We
we're
don't have anything for the next one of these. Just do it then.
SDC.Game. All right, so a month from now. Thank you.
Take care of that.
Yeah, I'm not good at checking the dates. I was going to do that before I actually announced the next meetup. But yeah, so we're getting closer to the holiday season. All right, so there will be nothing 2 weeks from now. There will be something a month from now, third Sunday of next month. All right. So, yeah. Oh, and special thanks to John and Heidi for bringing in the food today. All right, I'm going to go ahead and cut the stream now.